Good evening, guys.
Good
How you
evening.
doing? Yeah. All right. Well, it's great to be here with you. And as Dave talked about, you meet people, and you just never know kind of the background. And have an opportunity to meet Dave. Actually, Dave and I, we talked before that event, and he kind of told me what he did and running the user group and how many years. 20 years. That's pretty big accomplishment there, and just staying faithful and doing that. So appreciate you guys coming this evening. I think it's only fitting I kind of share a little bit about the reason why I'm here. And so, being blessed to have an opportunity to connect with Coach Gibbs, who you all know. If you don't know, just give a little background. Coach Gibbs, 3-time Super Bowl coach with the Washington Redskins, is now a 4-time NASCAR champion as an owner. I think he's the only guy that's probably be able to have 2 Hall of Fames. He's already in the Hall of Fame in the NFL, which I feel is the best coach to ever coach. Now I know you guys probably have your your arguments of who else could probably be that coach. Of course, Belichick, 5 Super Bowls. Yeah. Okay, I got you. But
Let's stay with Gibbs.
let's stay with Gibbs, because no coach has ever won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks in a particular era. Belichick, he's won 5 with 1 quarterback, which he's been fortunate to have in Tom Brady. You look at, the Cowboys, Troy Aikman. You look at Ben Roethlisberger, multiple quarterbacks, Terry Bradshaw. No coach has ever won 3 Super Bowls in a small era with 3 different quarterbacks. And those quarterbacks were good quarterbacks, but weren't Hall of Famers. 3 different running backs in the same era. 1 Hall of Famer in John Riggins. But no coach has ever done that. So it tells you something about the man to be able to construct teams together with 3 different guys. Well, what does it take? He's one of the best minds, that's what they say, in all of football. And so he's a genius when it comes to X's and O's. Now, he'll tell you, if you ever heard Coach Gibbs talk, he'll tell you, hey, man, I got my degree in PE. Pretty much handball and dancing. That's kind of like his whole story. But the man, I will tell you, I have an opportunity to not only play for him with the NFL, but also be able to be a part of Joe Gibbs Racing. But I'm on the other side, which is called Game Plan for Life. Game Plan for Life, he came out with this book, which I have a book for everybody here. Take a couple of books with you. This book right here is not an autobiography of Coach's life, even though he does share that, but it's a kind of answers questions where men had questions. And not just Christian men, but just men in general, where guys just had questions about life. They did a survey, they asked guys these top 10 questions, they came back, and this book kind of attacks these 10 questions. And some of these questions are just simple questions like, hey, man, what's my vocation? Hey, finances, what's my purpose? Salvation, or man, what is really heaven going to be about? And these are just general questions that men had in general about all these questions. And so he wanted to get 10 guys that were experts in each one of these fields. And of course, Coach weaves in his story within each one of those. One that he'll talk about that's in the book, very transparent, is he went bankrupt as a Super Bowl coach. Now, that was a shock to me, because I didn't realize that with all the success that he had won a Super Bowl, and the man was bankrupt. He had gotten into a partnership with a couple other buddies, making a lot of money, and he wanted to make more money. And so these coaches, which were best friends of his, said, hey, we got a great deal in Norman, Oklahoma. They got gas and oil. They'll never run out of business. Invest in real estate. And he invested. His buddy said, Coach, we'll lose everything we have before you lose a dime. And so here he is coaching. They got the partnership going. Well, guess what? Them guys lost everything. The economy tanked in Norman, Oklahoma in '83. And here are these guys, his buddies, that said, man, we won't lose anything before you do. They lost everything and filed bankruptcy. And here it is, coaches coaching football, had no idea what was going on. He signed a partnership. They were signing off on things he didn't have to be there. That's what co-signing on the loan is. These guys were co-signing loans and getting properties, and he wasn't there. He coaching football. All of a sudden, he's getting these interest loans in the mail. One particular loan was deficiting at $32,000 per month in interest only. One deal. But he's coaching football. He had no idea. A friend of his said, man, we need to get down to Norman, Oklahoma and see what's going on. They go down, 9 banks were involved. The economy was so bad, 5 banks closed in the midst of all this. He and his wife prayed. Everybody had left him hanging the bag, and he felt like, man, I shouldn't file bankruptcy. That he felt like, man, what an honorable thing that he felt like I should pay off my debt. And so he goes into this deal in 5 years. Takes him 5 years to pay off every penny. Struggled throughout it all, and he said he wrote down 15 things that he learned from, which is in the book. And I'm just going to share 2 things, because he shared this with us as players. I remember him telling the story when we were players about never signing a co-sign with someone else in a partnership, because you ain't got to be there, but of course, if the partnership signs, it's like you being there, unless you can pay it off. That was number 1. Number 2, listen to your wife. Because he was married and his wife didn't want to do the deal. But he found a way to finagle his way around it, and instead wanted to do the deal, and she was totally against it. And so just kind of learning life lessons for Coach. You know, I call him Coach because I played for him, and he's still going to be Coach for me because Coach has had such an influential part in my life. I don't know if any of you guys have played sports at any level, but I can guarantee you if you did, you probably remember that coach that you played for, even all the way back to grade school for me. And so coaches, which Billy Graham had discussed, he said, I can't do no more than the impact that coaches have. Now we know the great Billy Graham, how much of an impact he's had over an entire lifetime. Well, the great Billy Graham is quoted in saying, coaches have more impact than people in 1 year than most people ever have in a lifetime. Because coaches, man, my high school coach is still coaching in Chicago and St. Lawrence. And he's still impacting kids year after year over so many years, and you never forget them coaches. Now the problem is, you got some bad coaches too that have made some bad impacts on kids. I was just fortunate enough to have some great coaches. My high school coach, my coach at Notre Dame, Lou Holtz, Steve Spurrier for the Washington Redskins, Tom Coughlin twice with Jacksonville Jaguars and New York Giants, Coach Payton with the New Orleans Saints, Coach Gibbs, of course. And so I have had the great opportunity to be a part of some great coaches that have impacted my life. And guys, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. A lot of those things that they've taught me, I use it in my everyday life. Coach Lou Holtz, he used to always tell us what's important now, W-I-N, what's important now. I use that in my everyday life. I ask myself, man, hey, if I want to get a 6-pack like my man back here, Dave, you know, who's kind of built up now. I need to ask myself what's important now. I'm just not going to get a 6-pack just by eating sweet tea and sandwiches all the time. I got to make a decision, what's important now. And so just listening to Lou Holtz all those years. But tonight, I want to kind of just share with you a little bit of my story. In terms of just, I think it's important in life, no matter where you are, you're always trying to figure out, man, what is my purpose? You know, what am I called to do in life? I think, man, we're all trying to figure that out. And man, we get going as guys, we're doers, man, we want to get out there and hit the ground running. And there's a lot of distractions out there that kind of tell us, man, this is how you reach success. This is how you're able to be at the top of your game. Hey, maybe money. You know what I mean? Hey, if I got a lot of money, man, then I made it. And I can tell you from experience, I've been around guys that have made $50 to $100 million, but are miserable. You know, it may be, hey, maybe success at a job and reaching that height. And I can tell you, I've met many guys who were presidents of companies who made it at the top, owners of their own company, and are miserable. And I can go on and on, whatever it may be. What is my true calling, my true purpose? For me, coming off the south side of Chicago, guys, I didn't come from a good neighborhood. You know about Chicago, so, I mean, gangs were infested in my area. So for me, guys, it was sports for me. And my high school coach was a part of that. My dad, he wasn't at the games. He was there, but he wasn't there. He was an alcoholic. But somehow he found a way to wake up every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to work. I don't know how he did it, but he found a way to be able to go to work. And as a result, my brother, who was older than me, didn't have a relationship with my dad. And so he ended up falling susceptible to drugs himself, crack cocaine. And so I saw the effects of drugs and alcohol, so I wanted to stay far away from it. And so sports kind of became my outlet to be able to do other things other than games, drugs, and alcohol. And my high school coach kind of spoke life into me and said, look, if you really focus in on this, man, you can really get a college degree, man. And my goal was to go to Notre Dame. That's just was a dream for me. Growing up on the south side of Chicago, grew up in Catholic schools my whole life. Going to Notre Dame was kind of my dream if I ever had a chance to. And so I had an opportunity. I had a guy that come to my school, and this is why relationships are so important. Because there was a guy that went to my high school. I went to an all-boy Catholic school, De La Salle on the south side, that my parents busted their butt to send me to, making ends meet. And there was a guy that went to my high school that was at Notre Dame. Now, I never met this guy before, but he went to my high school, and he was about 85 years old at the time. And my high school, being on the south side, he said, hey, I need you to give Renaldo Wynn a scholarship. And the coach said, Coach, he's not All-American. He's not even the top of the top. We only give the best of the best scholarships that go to Notre Dame. But the problem was Moose Krause, this guy had some builders named after him on campus. He was one of the original Four Horsemen. That cliche coin name, the Four Horsemen, he was one of the Four Horsemen. Won championships with Newt Rockne. I mean, the guy just had a long line of resume. He was an athletic director. I mean, so Moose Krause tells you to give a scholarship to a guy, you're going to give a scholarship. You may not have a job. So this guy comes down and he tells me straight up, hey, son, you're not the guy that we would usually recruit. But Moose told me I need to give you a scholarship. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to offer you the scholarship, and if I leave out and you don't take it, because I know you got other visits that you want to make, then the scholarship goes with me. How about that? I said, I'm taking it. And he looked, wait a minute, you going to take this? You haven't even taken another visit? I'm taking it. Because he didn't realize Notre Dame was a dream of mine. And so I was the first guy to commit. Now, there was an issue with that because in life, guys, people try to tell you what you shouldn't do. And they have your best interests at hand. And they want to help you, of course. And so I had people that told me, don't go to Notre Dame, man. You ain't never played. You're gonna sit the pine. They're going to take your scholarship. You're not good enough. Go to Northern Illinois. Go to Ball State. Nothing wrong with those schools either. But they just felt like you'll be more successful if you go to these schools. But it was a dream of mine. Again, my coach said, son, if you want to go to Notre Dame, you go. Shoot for the moon, and even if you hit the stars, you're in good company. It was what my coach told me. And so again, a guy speaking life to me made all the difference to me. I go to take this scholarship to Notre Dame. My first day of practice, I'll never forget, it was in the indoor facility. We got full pads on. It's so loud when pads hit, I just wanted to kind of stand behind some other guys because I was a little smaller, I was the same height. Jerome Bettis ran over our starting linebacker. Boom! Ran the guy over. And this is a starting linebacker, 250-pound linebacker that Jerome Bettis just ran over. And I'm like standing back a little bit further. I'm on the sideline watching this, guys. And the coach must have heard me in my heart or something because he tells me, hey, son, this ain't no scholarship. Get your in the game and get in there. And so I'm in there along with not the first team, not the second team. I think we weren't even the third team. We were about the end of the totem pole, and now we're going against the first team. I know right now we're going to get killed. And I'm at safety, and I start talking to my linebackers, the middle guys. I start talking to the defensive line. Why am I talking to these guys? Because I'm like, slow Jerome Bettis down. I don't want him to get back to where he just ran over a linebacker and get back there where I'm at because I'm going to have to tackle this big joker. And so it opens up like the Red Sea, just the opposite. He comes right up the middle. Rick Meyer hands the ball off to him. Jerome Bettis, the bus is coming right up the middle. Now, in sports, you don't have an opportunity to think. You just got to react. And so I knew I couldn't take the guy up top, so I figured I'd take his legs out. What the heck? But I did two things they tell you don't do in football. These are just fundamentals they teach you when you're coming out of the womb, basically, in Pop Warner. And they tell you, don't ever close your eyes and never put your head down. I did both. I'm telling you, man, I was scared, man. I'm like, this guy's coming. So I try to take his legs out, and I close my eyes, I put my head down, and I hit the turf. I don't even touch Jerome Bettis. He did a move on me. I didn't even see what he did until we saw it on film. We were in the film room looking at it, and the coach was rewinding it 20 times, laughing at me. You know what I mean? And hey, guys, laugh, because this is, you know what I mean? Don't, because this is a part of my story. But guys were laughing and joking up, and I remember being on the field, guys. I just want to pry myself off the field and get to the side. So won't anybody see me? And Lou Holtz runs across the field, looks like he's full speed, grabs my helmet, he starts Woody Hayesing me. That's what we would call it, Woody Hayes, because Lou Holtz coached under Woody Hayes for Ohio State. They won a championship in those days, and Woody Hayes would just take your helmet and sling it. You can't do that nowadays, but Lou was doing exactly that and taking my helmet and slinging it back and forth, and he's spitting in my face. Lou has a little bit of a lisp, and he's telling me some things that I'll never forget. At first thing he's telling me, hey son, get your ass off the field, you know, and telling me, son, who gave you a scholarship? Well, he knew Moose had given me a scholarship. He knew that already. And now he's telling me, you don't deserve to be here. My grandmother's better than you. You got a scholarship. And he's just killing me, man. And I'm like, oh my God. And then he's telling me the second thing was, I'm going to red shirt you. I'm like, I want a red shirt. I don't want to play. You know what I mean? You red shirt, they sit you out the first year. So I'm like, cool. I don't have to play. And then he tells me, son, you're not even good enough to practice. He said I couldn't practice. Now that's the difference. I can't even get on the field and practice. Rudy practiced. You ever saw the movie Rudy? He was a walk-on. This dude was able to practice. I couldn't even practice. You know what Lou was trying to do? He wanted me to quit. Because if I quit, then that scholarship that Moose Cross said I was going to have, he would then give it to somebody else that he felt was more worthy of the scholarship. It happens all the time. The big schools, they force kids to quit. If they feel like that scholarship is not worth what they felt like would be to take a spot, they make kids quit. I think it's the worst thing they ever do. I love Dabo Swinney because Dabo has never made a kid quit. No matter what situation it was, Dabo, you sign a scholarship to Clemson, you're on board, no matter if you get hurt or not. I love Dabo Swinney for that reason. And so here I am. I'm about to quit. I'm about to say, man, I'm about to go ahead and fill out applications. I'm done. And I had guys in my ear. Again, man, people around you, they can make a big difference, influence. Because at a young age, I didn't know. But it's the people that you keep around you. And God sent two people in particular I'll never forget in my life at that time. Another coach was Urban Meyer, Ohio State head coach. He was our wide receiver coach there. Another guy named Charlie Strong, who used to be the coach at Texas, now at South Florida. Those guys were in my ear and just saying, man, if you give up, you will never know what happens on the other side of the mountain. Because how many times people give up because of a tough time, not just in sports, but in life. You give up because you hit, man, with a curveball, and you never know what's on the other side of the mountain. And that was me. I was like on my way out. I give up until those guys told me, son, you may never play. But if you give up, you'll never know what happens. And so do what you can control. You can't practice. So just work out. Do what you can control. So that's what I did, guys. I couldn't even go to the games. They wouldn't even let me stand on the sideline on the home games. I was in the stands. Couldn't go to games. I mean, it was a rough year. I can't tell you that it was easy. But I didn't quit. I hung in there. The next year was open trials. Because all I did was work out and eat, I gained about 40 pounds. I went from 195 to about 235. Went from being a safety to a linebacker. Open trials. Man, I go in, man, and I ended up winning the starting job. Now, my class that I went in as I committed was the #1 recruiting class that year in the entire country. All-Americans after All-Americans. Player of the Year, All-American Gatorade. My roommates who were in front of me in my position. And here I am. I was the last guy. I was the first guy to get signed, but when they ranked me, I was the last guy that came in that class. And now, my second year, I'm starting as a linebacker, as a redshirt sophomore. And so, man, I'm like, man, it was awesome that year. We beat Florida State, Charlie Ward. They were national champions that year. We upset them. We only lost one game that year, a last-second field goal to Boston College. Ended up beating Texas A&M, who was undefeated. And so we ended the season ranked #2 in the country. And I'm starting. I'm thinking, like, man, here I am, I'm on my way, to that next level. But then God has a way of getting your attention. And so I got called into a room about this size, guys, that year in the off season, because the academic dean came in and said, you've forgotten, talking about 10 athletes, some football players, some girls soccer players, we had a couple of basketball players, and they said, you have forgotten what it means at Notre Dame to be a student athlete. We don't give passes here. And I'm going to tell you right now, I have this meeting every year and nobody has ever made it, so I'm going to tell you guys straight up, start filling out applications. Now the first application was going to be my own choice. I was going to give up this next application that they told me said I wasn't going to make it. And so for me, guys, it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I'm on my way going back to the dorm, tears coming down, because now I'm thinking about people that depended on me. I thought it was all about me, all about what I can do for myself, how to gain a starting position, how to make it to the NFL, all these things. What was it? Me. Didn't think about all the other people that were dependent on me. And so here I am, first time in 2 years, got on my knees and I prayed. I ain't prayed in 2 years, guys. I'm just telling you. The only time I even went to churches, we had Mass, Catholic. You go to Mass before the game, Father Reilly, and that was the only type of exposure I ever had. But I knew I had to get on my knees and pray. I didn't know what that meant. I just said, God, you just got to help me. First prayer was somehow keep me here in Notre Dame. Some kind of way, keep me here. The second prayer was I asked God for a wife. At 19 years old, because I felt so empty. Man, what I thought the world was that was going to make me happy, be with so many different women, it made me empty. Didn't do anything for me, and I asked God for a wife. And God gave me my wife the next month, 3 months after we met, we were married. It was extreme, but I needed that to happen in my life because, you know what that did? First of all, it isolated my friends. They thought I was crazy. They said, man, you're crazy. Isolated my friends. My dad disowned me. My dad said, you got to be crazy. You get kicked out of school. You get married in 3 months. You don't even know this person. So I had nobody. Who else did I have to turn to but God? There was nobody else. So I go through that year, that rest of that semester, that dean was right. Every guy got kicked out. He was absolutely right. My friends got kicked out. Every person in that room. The girls that were other athletes got kicked out. I was the only guy that made it. Now, what happened? Yeah, I knew God was real, but I did have to put the work in. I can't tell you that, you know, the Bible said faith without works is dead now. But in doing that work, I knew that in the midst of that, God was real. Didn't understand, and this is my story and my faith walk, what happened to me. And so, man, I understood, man, there's something to this. Even though I didn't understand the relationship side. My wife and I, we ended up, you know, getting married. She was a part of that because the first day she came to South Bend, she couldn't stand South Bend because you didn't see the sun for like 7 months. And so she told me to get out of the bed and go to class. My first day there, and I said, well, I got people taking great notes. Don't worry about that. And she said, no, you're going to take the notes. You're going to go to class, or I'm going back home. And so that was our first encounter, reaction of any type of conflict resolution that we had. So I got up and I went to class, put the work in. Coach Hoach invited me to his office. I thought I was in trouble because I couldn't be captain. Consequences of my decisions before that. Couldn't be nominated as a captain. On academic probation. Coach brought me in and said, son, I want to hug your wife, not you. Because he knew it wasn't just me. I thought it was all about me, guys. And so I would say, you know, for some of you guys that are married, you know, our wives dependent on us. God has made us head of our household, but we got to be the men that they want to follow. And so for my wife, she was, I say behind every great man is a greater woman because she's going to tell you the truth. She's going to push you. Even though you don't want to hear it, she's going to push you to that next limit. And so, man, just want to talk to you and share with you the relationship side in terms of the calling. My call, I felt, was football. I ended up getting drafted in the first round by the Jaguars. I stayed an extra year with Lou Holtz. I go to Jacksonville for 5 years, and then I go to the Redskins with Steve Spurrier, the old ball coach. Marvin Lewis is our D coordinator. He brings me there before he goes to Cincinnati. And then after Steve Spurrier steps down, the old ball coach, the 3-time Super Bowl coach, comes out of retirement in 2004. And so Coach Gibbs knew there was a difference. And any times in any type of changing of the guards, you're going to have some changes. And he knew about Spurrier. I love Spurrier, great friend of mine, but Spurrier didn't like cold weather. Spurrier just didn't like practicing when it was raining, snowing, or any of that stuff. I mean, it'd be raining, guys, and Steve Spurrier just look out and be like, yeah, guys, there, we ain't getting nothing done. Let's go and take it in. And I'm looking like, this dude just canceled practice and it was raining. That's football weather, man. I mean, that's unheard of. I'm like, man, this would be awesome. If we can win like this, it'd be great. Well, we didn't. And so Steve Spurrier stepped down, and here's Coach Gibbs, who comes in, who brings a totally different mentality. Talking to older players that won Super Bowls, the Hogs, Bostick's from Clemson. They're telling us, man, this dude ain't never canceled a practice. Y'all are in for a rude awakening. You've been spoiled, and y'all are in for a rude awakening. This dude has never canceled a practice in my whole career. And he wasn't lying, because no matter the temperature, no matter how cold it was, we never canceled a practice. And so he would start saying it's redskin weather. That's the kind of the coin thing that Coach would always talk about. It's redskin weather. No matter if it was raining, sleet, they tell you in training camp 105, 110 degrees, keep your dog in the house on the news. We're out there. It's redskin weather. But what that did was that built kind of a subliminal type message in our minds that we just began to be able to overcome any weather situation in any stadium, and then build a camaraderie. And we go in Buffalo and be like, hey, it's redskin weather. And we began to start believing that until we had one practice. I will share this story. We had one practice canceled. And it was raining and snow. It was raining and thundering and lightning. And we go out there, of course, because it's redskin weather. We don't care. It's redskin weather. But the problem was the thunder and lightning was pretty close, and we kind of on the field looking back. We can't even practice. And lightning strikes about the next field over, hits the field. Guys run right in, don't wait for Coach to say anything about redskin weather. We just run into the facility, and we know Coach is going to be upset. He is going to be fit to be tired, and we wait for him to come in, and sure enough, he's taking his stuff off. Now, Coach has never said a cuss word. I've never heard the man cuss, but he's freaking going off and stuff. And we had this one player named Fred Smoot that was a character on our team, and Fred waited for Coach, and he had this little quirky little voice. He said, hey, Coach, I guess God's trying to tell you that ain't redskin weather, is it, baby? And so first practice canceled, but from that experience, we built a camaraderie. And so here we go, man. We're on our way. And the first 2 years were tough because, Coach, we didn't go to the playoffs. And you can imagine being in a big city, D.C., they're talking about you now. You're over the hill. He's washed up. He'll never be able to regain what he had back in the Super Bowls. And I remember we ended up losing 2 games. We lost to the Raiders at home. We ended up losing to Tampa Bay on a last-second play, almost going into overtime. We lost to Tampa 36-37. I'll never forget it. It was a 4th down play that Chucky went for with Mike Allscott. I know his arm was down, but we was up in the sombrero in Tampa, so they gave it to him. But they won 37-36 on the last second play. And so we ended up going down to this next game, which was the Damian Thomas, and we play those guys. We take them to overtime. We come back out as a defense. We say, here it is. This is where we're going to make our mark to keep us in the playoff hunt, to keep our hope alive. First play from scrimmage. Look it up. LaDainian Thomas has run 67 yards to win the game. First play. We don't even stop. 67 yards, wins the game. We've lost 3 losses in a row. Drops our record down to 3-6. Our chance of making the playoffs in our division with the Eagles, the Cowgirls, the Cowboys, we got no Cowboy fans here. And the New York Giants is pretty slim to none. And now here we are. Our back's against the wall, and I want to be honest, DC threw the towel in on us. Everybody said we'd never make it. I had teammates on our team that said we'd never go to a playoff. They were already getting their tickets to go to a vacation and do all those things. And so Coach Gibbs came in that room that day and changed our whole perspective. Told us, man, you got nothing to lose. All you got to lose right here, if you lose your faith within this room, that's all that counts is who believes in this room in that day. I'll tell you, it was like Elvis coming back, man. It was like the dude came in and everybody was just eyes on him and said, one day at a time, one practice at a time, 1 week at a time, one game at a time. All you guys, I want to ask you to give it all you got. And so we ended up going down those next 6 weeks, 7 weeks. We run the table. We get into the playoffs. I'm like, man, this is great. We go and have a rematch in Tampa Bay against Chucky. We had lost to him. Kind of start that little loss. And then we go back to play them in the playoffs. We get up there and we're winning the game. It's great. I can feel it like, man, we're going to go to a second game here. And Sean Taylor was our young player at the time, a rookie. And I'll never forget, I'm coming around the corner. And as I'm coming around the corner, Chris Sims is the quarterback. I try to get the ball out of his hand. My other teammate, Philip Daniels, comes around the corner. He's got a 300-pound lineman locked on him. So 600 pounds of force at the same time, and my hand comes out, the perfect storm. It's like going through a finish line tape. Go through my arm breaks, ulnar and radius, all at the same time, all the way through the skin, breaks both bones. The bone was so loud of a snap that my teammates, during the middle of a game, thought a gunshot went off. And so now I'm on the ground with 2 breaks in my arm, bone sticking out, and I'm like, this ain't good. They come out on the field, and I'm like, man, we do win the game, but I got one problem. The problem is we're at the end of the season. We're in the playoffs. I'm thinking about the next following season. How am I going to get back? They end up repairing me, putting titanium plates, move my ulnar nerve all the way over to the right side, and I go through this whole reconstruction of my arm, and now I'm getting back for the next season. Some kind of way they kept me on the team. I don't think I even played until week 4, but I'm on the team. The following year, I'm going into my 10th year in the NFL, which I'm like, man, if you don't know, the NFL stands for not for long. 2.2 years is the average career of a player. And so, man, I'm going to my 10th year, and I'm like, this is such a blessing. And I remember on my birthday, September 3rd, we go into Tyson's Corner Mall. My wife has a birthday party set up for me, but she wants me to go with her while she goes shopping for me for a little gift, and I just sit out at Tyson, just people watch a little bit. And I looked at my watch, and it was 12:05, and I'm like, yes, because I knew that the cut date was 12 o'clock noon, and I made another year, and my phone rings at 12:05. Right when I looked at my watch, my phone rings. Now, it could have been somebody wishing me a happy birthday, saying, hey, I'm coming to the birthday party, man, but y'all know, y'all ever get that gut feeling, right, what you get. And it could have been somebody wishing me, but I didn't answer it. I just let it go to my voicemail, and then I looked at my phone, and I looked and it said Redskin Park. And I'm like, man, I knew exactly what that meant. I checked the message. The guy on the other end, we call him the Grim Reaper in football, he says the words that every player never wants to hear. Hey, bring your playbook to Redskin Park as soon as possible. When they tell you to bring your playbook, you know you just got cut. You just got fired. My wife comes out of the store, hey, you ready for our big birthday party? I got people coming in from out of town, family, we're about to kick the season off, it's going to be great. I said, we ain't having no party, I just got cut, I got fired. She's like, oh, you pranking me, you didn't get fired, you didn't get cut. I'm like, I got fired. She listened to the message because she wanted to hear it. She fell to pieces right there in the middle of the store. I'm like, she was, man, no good. I'm like, man, I just got cut with my wife, she's the one falling to pieces. But again, that partnership, when you go through something, man, your wife goes through it. You go through it when your wife goes through it. When your kids go through it, it wasn't no different. My daughter don't say anything to Coach Gibbs, but she's a Cowboy fan now because of that day. I mean, she'll never forget it. Her dad got cut. Her dad got fired. And so now I'm on my way back to Redskin Park because I know I got to turn in my playbook. I've seen it happen to other players, and I've been able to just say, man, I'm praying for you. You think you know how it is until you go through it. You can't have the empathy of what somebody else goes through unless you go through it yourself. And so now I know the feeling, what these guys have gone through throughout my career. And they give you a trash bag to clean your lockout. They escort you out with the police guys there. And it's humiliating. The cameras are there in your face because all of DC, they know who got cut. Y'all see the papers here for the Panthers. You know the guys that got cut. You see them on TV. You see. But just think about the other end of that deal. That's a family right now that just got fired. And so myself included, I'm that guy that got cut, and now I got to go in, and I'm about to I go from being sad as I'm driving from Tyson's to Ashburn, Virginia. I go from being sad to mad because I'm about to cuss the coach out. This dude cut me, he fired me. I just got nominated as a captain. There were a few other things that went into that. I was a player rep, and nobody never wants to be the player rep in the union. But I ended up going in, and my wife grabbed me at the last minute and said, no, we're going to pray. I'm like, woman, did you hear what I said about the cuss the coach out? We ain't praying now. Again, I listened to my wife. If you're smart, you listen to your wife. And so a quick prayer turned into, instead of me cussing the coach out, I just say, Coach, with all the hurt and pain, I said, Coach, I appreciate the opportunity. And he says on the other side, the most powerful thing I ever heard anybody tell me, he said, son, you're more than a football player. He said it again, looked at me, son, you're more than a football player. Now, nobody's ever told me that, because football gave me my way out of Chicago, opened up doors, gave me a degree at Notre Dame. It was my lifeline. But he was right, because I allowed football to define me. Anything that football did, the ups and downs, I had it with a closed fist. When it went up, I was up. When it was down, I was down. It consumed me. And I talked about the things that sometimes consume us. And to really find out what our true calling was, I never realized just because it was my passion didn't mean it was my calling. It was just a vehicle to be able to open doors for me to get to where I am now. And not knowing the other guy on the other end of that desk that told me, son, you are more than a football player, was the same guy that cut me, that fired me, ended up hiring me. You see that, Coach? Was Joe Gibbs. And if it wasn't just for that right there that just spoke life into me, the guy that hired me, he fired me back then. But I needed to go through that, guys. I wouldn't change one thing, because in my mind, all I was a football player. That's why guys are struggling. 95% of players are broke and divorced and bankrupt within 5 years. Because it consumes you. That's all you've done. If you played in the NFL or played a professional sport, odds are that's all you've ever done. You probably didn't really have a childhood, because that's all you ever did throughout your entire life. I really liken it to, and this is what the military guys have told me. Because I tell them, I said, dude, we're nowhere near what you guys are. You guys are putting your lives on the line. And when I would go into the VA and even go to Walter Reed when I was in D.C. and just to visit these guys, they would say, man, we're just like you. And I'm like, dude, that don't make sense, dude. You got a missing limb. You put your life on the line. But then I started to think about it. Well, this is all they've ever done. Been in the military. They don't know anything else. Usually they go in when they're in high school at a young age. And then when they get out, then what? What do I do now? My man right here that's helping the VA, he knows the guys that are homeless. Why are they homeless? I mean, they lose their purpose because this is all they've ever done. It's the reason why these guys, 22 a day, are killing themselves in America. 22. And so there's an issue. What it is, and I've had guys share with me, and this is what the guys have shared with me, guys. When you see a military guy, it's great for you to say, I appreciate your service, but they really want you to talk to them. They want you to say, hey man, where are you? They want you to be able to get to know them. They want people to ask them questions and be able to talk to them about, their life, because not too many people do they have an opportunity to be able to share. And a lot of those guys, they feel guilty. The reason why they take their lives, the guys that didn't take their life, that almost did, what they've told me was they feel guilty for the guys that are over there still fighting. They don't even care about the political stuff. It's about that guy left behind that's still over there fighting, and whether they got a honorable discharge from an injury or something, they're here, and those guys are there. And they can't deal with the guilt that they're somehow made it, and their friend they saw get blown up by IED or get their head shot off, whatever it may be. They can't deal with the guilt. But it's the same deal that it consumes them. And so for my NFL brethren, these guys are struggling right now. And I was a part of that group. And so I had an opportunity to be a part of Game Plan for Life. What is Game Plan for Life? Well, simple, guys. We just want to be able to use our platform just to be able to impact other men. And Coach feels like men is the key to our community, to our country, because we are losing our men. We're losing the men in our households, fatherless homes. We did an event down in Greenville, North Carolina. The reason why they wanted Coach to come out and speak, because they said we have more men right there in ECU, without a birth certificate, a man on the birth certificate than any other place in the city, in the country. More men that don't have a name on the birth certificate when kids are born there. And so that tells me, man, that we are losing our men. And so our whole goal is to be able to reach men through our outreach breakfast. We do our Game Plan for Life assemblies. We also have our Game Plan for Life prison ministry, which is probably the biggest thing that we end up or are doing, is being able to reach men that are in the darkest place that people are forgotten about, where we're doing a seminary school inside of a penitentiary, a maximum facility. And we know that the seminary will change not only the hearts, but then we'll be able to change other people, because Angola's already done it. Angola, Louisiana, one of the biggest maximum facilities in the world, 7,000 inmates, was the bloodiest prison in America, went from being the bloodiest prison to the safest prison because they put a seminary school in there. And it's voluntary, it's all privately funded, no tax dollars, but it saves $10 million of tax dollars. They saw a reduction of violence inside and outside the prison, guys that are getting out, no repeat offenders going back. The results are unbelievable. So we're doing that with the help of our DPS, Lieutenant Governor. He's behind us with the program, as well as Southeastern Baptist Theological. They're providing the curriculum to be able to take the lifers through a seminary, just like a pastor would go through 4 years, and afterwards they're able to be equipped to counsel guys, to be able to share with them any issues they may be able to go through. The biggest change agent are the guys. They're living with their congregation 24/7. They ain't going home like our pastors. They see exactly the walk for these guys every day. No matter if they're getting feces thrown at them because a guy wants to test them and say, oh, you got a jailhouse religion. They see exactly their lives each and every day. So they're the biggest change agents. So guys, I just would just say, man, for you guys to, the calling and your purpose, if you don't know what that is, I would just say it's God. Because God knows us better than anybody else. I thought it was football. Never knew that I would even be a part of this ministry. I had to change my major from engineering when I got kicked out to sociology. I felt like, what the heck am I going to do with sociology? I'm doing exactly that. Working with kids, working with communities, to be able to work and be able to outreach to other people. Never liked NASCAR a day in my life. Thought it was all left-hand turns to me, a kid from the south side of Chicago. But it shows you our plans are not always our plans. If we need to just be open to the things of the Lord, He'll direct our path, as He said, not lean to your own understanding, but direct your path. And so when I ended up seeing Coach Gibbs, I thought, man, this would be a great opportunity to go to a race. And Coach came in being a NASCAR owner. Never wanted to go to a race a day in my life. It came with, again, some heart-staking results. And Coach Gibbs, when he wanted to change things, he wanted to change things. The first thing that Coach Gibbs wanted to do, and I'll close with this, is he wanted to do a mini camp to start the season off. Well, the problem is, guys, you never do a mini camp to start the season off, because guys are not in shape. So you bring them in, get them in shape, get them conditioned, and then you do a mini camp at the end of the off season. Well, we knew right then and there, we heard the results of what his speech was all about on ESPN. We're going to do a mini camp. So guys knew that meant they were going to get cut. And so I had guys calling me all over the country telling me, Renaldo, can you do this? Why were they calling me? I was the player rep with the union. Guys that voted me in and said, man, can they do this? I said, man, there's nothing that says coach can't do this mini camp. It ain't in our CBA. And they're like, man, I'm going to get cut. I'm in Miami. I'm out of shape. I hadn't worked out. I said, well, you better start working out now, boy. And so I had my first conversation with Coach Gibbs, and I never met the man, but a phone call conversation was to tell him that I can't make this mandatory mini camp. And he said, well, how come you can't make it? I said, well, Coach, the mini camp is the same weekend as our player rep meeting. And then he starts really going off on me, because he's telling me our player rep meeting was in Hawaii. So he's telling me, I'm going to tell you something, you guys don't do nothing in Hawaii anyway. And not only that, but whoever is here is what I'm making my decision based on who's going to have a job. So you don't have to show up. You probably won't have a job when it's all over. And so I had a decision I had to make. Because here's a coach that wants the best for the team, but I want the best for my teammates as well. Guys that voted me in, because if I come in there, I lose the respect of every guy in that locker room. I'm a sellout to the organization. And not only if I come in there, but then the coaches, I lose the respect of the coaches. Because if I came in, then they say, this guy, you can't trust him. It's twofold. And so I don't go. I was nervous. I go over somehow. I kept my job. My friends, they got cut. Kind of resemblance, kind of this happened twice. Back in college, now all of a sudden I'm on the fringe of getting cut, and now I stopped in Vegas on the way back home to D.C. for a quick stop. My wife's from that area, and so we're there, and it happens to be a race in Las Vegas. I've never been to a race, guys. But I said, man, I had some friends and family, man, this NASCAR race, you just got hired by Coach Gibbs. We need to go to a race. And my wife's like, no, you need to keep a job. But I listened to my friends this time. I was right to 1 out of 10 times, and then I ended up going. And Coach Gibbs, I called him. I said, Coach, I'm in Vegas. I would love to go. He cut me off. Thought he cussed me out. He didn't say one cuss word. He said, son, you lucky to even have a job. And first of all, I don't even know what you're doing in Vegas. I don't want to know what you're doing in Vegas. And I'm trying to explain to him, hey, Coach, my wife's from here. He ain't listening to me. He throws the phone at his assistant. She says, what do you need? I got family and friends. I just want to go to a race. I get to the racetrack. Long story short, there's a guy named Marlon that runs this credentials trailer. Marlon is a diehard Redskin fan. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm not going to have any issues. I talked to Marlon. He knew all about me, followed my career. I'm still playing, of course, and he's like, there's only one thing, Renaldo. These passes that you got for you and your buddies and family, you got to pay for these. I said, okay, I'll pay for them. What's a pit pass? I've never been to a race. I thought it was like $80 or something. I got my credit card rate, $1,800. I said, I'm about to say, screw this, I'm out of here. I don't watch guys go around in circles anyway. I mean, it's NASCAR. And so, again, the check and balance, man, I thank God there was something in me that said, go ahead and pay for this. I paid for it. It was painful. I go to the grid, they call it right there on pit road, never been to a race. I see Coach Gibbs, he doesn't even say a word to me. He smiles a little bit. I'm like, man, that was an expensive fine that I paid, but I'm on the racetrack. And Kyle Busch wins the race. Coach Gibbs owns the car for Kyle Busch. He's one of the drivers for Joe Gibbs Racing. The M&M car wins the race. I'm in victory lane. What an unbelievable first experience. The unthinkable happens. I get hooked, line, and sinker in the NASCAR. The thing that I said was only left-hand turns. Never been to a race. If you've never been to a race, don't judge until you go. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. The sound, the experience of all of it going on, the access. I get hooked in NASCAR, and I start going to these races while I'm still playing in the off-season. I'm going on my own. I'm going to Dover. I'm going to all these places all around the country on my own. And Coach Gibbs, about 2 years of this, comes to me and says, son, I coach thousands of players. They just come and go, but you just keep coming back. You don't even want nothing. You're just coming back. Are you a fan, son? You're from Chicago, right? I said, man, I love it, man. This is great. He said, well, this may be something that you may want to do after football. That was 5 years before I got cut by the same man that offered me a job and then ended up hiring me. Fell in love with NASCAR, brought me on board to work with Game Plan for Life. I always tell people I'm living the dream, guys. I really am. Football was just a vehicle to allow me to do what I'm doing now, which is my true calling. To be able to serve others. The key to unlocking success in any calling is serving others. I never got it. My whole time growing up, it was about me. How do I gain success? How do I get to that next level? Young man, I know you're graduating. You want to know the key to success? Serve somebody else. That will unlock the doors of kings and queens in any situation. The true servanthood heart. That transcends beyond anything that you can imagine. Because guess what? Not too many people are serving. It's all about me. And so, thank God for unlocking those keys for me. And just being able to just share with you guys the best thing that was ever shared with me. And so I know we got a break coming up, I think. And then
Whenever you're ready.
Huh?
Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready now. If you want to open up for Q&A, is that?
All right, let's take a look. You want to take a break? You're after Q&A.
If these guys are ready, I'm good. I'm good to go. We want to go right into the Q&A?
They want to ask you some questions.
Yeah, let's go right into the Q&A then. Get you guys out of here a little early.
I saw a picture of you sacking Tom Brady.
Yes, sir.
You got that framed on the wall somewhere?
Well, not only do I have it framed on the wall, but I brought some pictures here for everybody here, and I'll sign some for you. But that's funny you asked that question. So that picture that you saw, I got that right here sacking Tom, and it was one of those things where I love this guy. As far as a quarterback, when you play against most quarterbacks, they're a little bit snobbish, prima donna-ish, but this guy is the ultimate competitor. And when I sacked him, I mean, he was upset at Matt Light, his all-pro tackle, who I just beat for a sack, and he was cussing him out. He's looking over there, and then he just kind of just said, "Hey, Renaldo, where the hell you come from? Go lift me up, man." And I was like, "It's a quarterback?" You know what I mean? And so it's the reason why Tom, I think, is so down to earth. I've had an opportunity to talk with a lot of his other teammates, and every guy on that team says this is the best guy to play with. I mean, you got to remember, Tom was a nobody. They walked over Tom Brady to get to Drew Bledsoe for a number of years. And so he knows what it feels like. He's an empathy guy where he knows what it's like for a guy at the bottom of the totem pole. They tell me that Tom is a guy that no matter where he is, how many years he's played, he's sitting down eating with a bunch of guys, and the guy's tea is empty. He's going up because he say, "Hey, man, can I throw that in the garbage for you? Yeah, can I fill your tea up?" This is the quarterback. Again, the servanthood attitude. I believe that's why he's so great, because a guy that wants to serve others more than himself, you see it on the field. He's trying to help other guys become better. And I can't stand Belichick. I'm not a Patriot fan. But I love this guy because of the type of person he is. Because he serves other people. The other picture is when I was with the New York Giants. I put that in there for the Cowboy fans. When I was with the New York Giants with Tom Coughlin, I was sacking Tony Romo there. This sack right here, you can tell his jersey is kind of stretched out just a little bit because Tony had a tendency of trying to spin on you. And that picture right there, Tom Coughlin had a meeting. We had a little team meeting, and he said, "If you don't get him down, there's going to be consequences." And so, because he loves to extend the play, it's hard to get quarterbacks down like Tony Romo. And that play, he spent out, and I thought he was out. And my hangnail, almost tore my finger off. Yanked him down at the last minute. And he actually messed up his back. That was the first time Tony had a back injury. He was out for like 2.5 weeks. I kept seeing that play over and over. My man's clapping back there. But just a long answer to a great question there. So I'll sign those pictures for anybody that may want one for you or your kid or whoever. Sir, you had a question?
What did you think of Wayne Fonts?
Wayne Fonts?
Yeah.
I don't think I played against Wayne Fonts. What year was that? When?
Well, I don't really remember, but he was with Detroit Lions for a year.
Yeah.
He's well noted for being a player's coach.
Yeah. I mean, it seemed like that he did a great job. I mean, I was a Chicago Bear growing up. So, meaning as far as the team I followed, so I definitely know of him. I just never had opportunity to meet any players that played for him. I think he was after me, though. But
I played for him in high school. And,
oh, did you?
Yeah, he had a torturous path to the NFL, and he played in the NFL until he got injured. But I played with Class D Catholic school. I had a leather helmet because a lot of our plastic helmets were breaking. We had kind of somewhat inexpensive gear.
Yeah. Where are you from?
Bay City, Michigan.
Okay.
And our school was basically undefeated, somewhat unscored upon. Our JV team we're Class C, we played Class A freshman team. They had guys from goal post to goal line, and we went there with 16 guys. And we played them up the first half, but they just wore our ass down the second half, and we lost the game.
But you always remember it, though.
Yeah. The interesting thing is I did call him a good 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
He didn't answer the phone, but he was in the Lions at the time. He called me back, and he remembered everyone. than I did.
Wow.
Because most of us all had nicknames. My cousin had a nickname.
What was your nickname?
I was one of the few without a nickname. But it was pretty impressive. I don't know if he was going off a few cards, but being he almost changed jobs every year from various colleges to the pros.
Coaches are amazing, man, how much impact they have on us. Lou Holtz, he never forgot a name either. I had a good friend that was a walk-on. We did a roast for Lou. He does something to support the Special Olympics every year called Lou's Lads, and this particular guy was a walk-on. And he said, Lou would never know who I am, man. He hadn't seen Lou in almost 20 years. And Lou knew exactly who he was. He said, Kevin Coretta from Fort Wayne, Indiana. The dude was blown away. I mean, right there, I mean, he never forgot a name, man. It's amazing. It's unbelievable, man. Yeah.
The next year, our team was not as good when he left.
Right, I'm
we
sure.
had a lot of the same players.
I'm sure. Yep.
But I remember as a freshman, I used to have scrimmage varsity because we're a Class D school, not that I was that good. It's just that I was big, somewhat big. We had I went lined up against an all-state tackle, and a few times I beat him. I tackle runner-up all-state fullback, and he just laid me out.
That's awesome, man.
And then coach would. A few times I got to play linebacker, and that was an easy way to beat college. You didn't have to be good. You just step the right direction, you can beat them, and things fall. And anytime I beat a senior, I'm a freshman. Coach lay in that senior. You let that freshman beat you. And of course, I'm listening. He's getting as much getting more out of me than yelling at the senior. So.
You got the guys in trouble. I'm sure them seniors wasn't too happy at you. They probably had a few words back in the locker room. Where you?
How did you get your roots out in Charlotte? What was the connection there? Was that with ESPN work and things like that?
Yeah, so as a matter of fact, the guy, Matt, right here, in terms of broadcasting, Matt was a part of our team at the ACC Digital Network. Matt was a part of that whole deal right down there at Raycom. And so, yeah, man, I always wanted to kind of do the radio and TV stuff, and actually had a job offer by the Redskins to do their Redskin TV and do radio. And it's something I had prayed about, but I didn't feel right about it. There were some other things that was underlining that I can't talk about that was not right. And I actually prayed about it the night before. The guy gave me a job. He said, well, I need a decision by tomorrow. We got to move forward, and this is how much we're going to pay you. This is the job. And I was just like, God, I'm not supposed to go through this door. Don't allow it to open. And the next morning at 6 in the morning, Coach Gibbs called me and said, hey, I want you to come out to Joe Gibbs Racing for an interview. We're thinking about hiring you for game plan and Joe Gibbs Racing. I said, well, Coach, I got a problem, man. I just got an offer from Dennis Green. I said, Coach, he wants me to make a decision. He said, tell him don't worry about it. You're not taking the job. You're going to be all right. I said, all right. And so my wife and I, we moved from Las Vegas. We were living in Vegas. And that was, we thought we were going to live there forever. And that's how I moved here to Charlotte, man. He offered me the job and moved me and my family out here. Yeah. So.
How long have you been here? When did that
It'll be
happen?
5 years in June. So, man, we love it. We live in Kannapolis.
Did you go to the main place, the main
Yeah,
office?
so our building here is right there off of 77, exit 23. I don't know, maybe we can do a field trip or something, one day. And
I can tell you guys, I had a chance to tour the facility,
It's nice.
and my life group leader is the business manager, Joe Gibbs, so he gave me a tour that you don't normally see.
yeah,
That is one of the most amazing places I've ever seen. I had a chance as an MVP, Microsoft MVP, to go through their research facility on the Redmond campus a couple of years ago. And, all the 3D modeling machines they've got and all the things that Microsoft's got.
Yep.
I saw the same stuff at Joe Gibbs Racing.
yeah.
They take a block of metal this big, put it in there, and it comes out one part out of one piece of metal. It's incredible, the technology they got.
Yeah.
They got these freeze chambers for the drivers. They go in there 2 minutes and They drop their temperature down
Cryo
like
chamber.
80 below zero for 2 minutes, and it's supposed to help. You know, I've only heard of them, but they have like 3 of them set up. And you know, the precision that they have, the computers they use to shape these cars, it's beyond incredible.
Yeah,
It really is. It's
yeah.
just
Technology is
amazing.
totally is the lead for our sport. It's changed the sport from back in the day, the mom and pops type, where you got a guy working on the car, he figures it out as they go to the track. Now we have, like Dave said, we have simulation machines there on site that you can simulate a full race and know what you're going to do before you can get to it. And so I would love to take you guys on the tour. I don't know if that's even a possibility. It's about 250,000 square feet of space.
It's incredible.
I thought I was gonna go and see a bunch of oil everywhere and, guys working on cars. Dude, it's nothing but engineers and
Yeah.
technology.
See these white whiskers I got? There's a reason, because I'm old. Way back, I started driving the same year Dale Earnhardt did. And I drove those things. Small tracks around Virginia, Tennessee, and I remember what those cars were like. When you want to slow it down, you have to put both feet on the brake and push as hard as you could, and maybe slow a little bit. These things will stop on a dime. When you want to go into a turn, you have to do this right here. You didn't have any rack and pinion, and you hoped it would come around. These things, I mean, you drive a Lexus now, and they're precise, and they feel good, but they're not as precise as these cars. These cars are incredible. Well, they got 980 horsepower. Wow, that's a lot of
Bill
power.
used the engine one time. The engine's about $90,000, per engine. They pull it out after one race because you got to imagine you just watt all the way up RPMs, all the way up. So
10,000 RPMs. No?
yeah. So I mean, it's again, we have 60 engineers. A few of them are aerospace engineers, doctors. It's a pretty.
And the cars I drove, 6,500, 6,500 RPM, you probably blow the motor up.
Yeah.
Because you just stay underneath that and try to get all the speed you could and get around the track without blowing up the motor. That was hard. Now, 10,000 RPM was nothing. I remember I had a Shelby Mustang that I had for about 9 years, and I trying to get it all fixed up. It needed work, and I met a guy named Bob Sweetak. And if you look him up in the records, he was legendary. Mine was the last car he worked on. He's an old guy then, but he dragged out all these pictures of all these race car drivers that he built cars for. David Pearson, Cal Yarborough, all kind of cars. He built the first car that would go over 200 miles an hour. And he told me, he said, they got a template they kind of lay over top of the car. And it's got to have a certain height and so forth. He said, well, I put neoprene rubber about that thick underneath both sides. And when it got up to right at 190 miles an hour, it went down an inch. When it come back, popped back up. So it fit, but out on the track, it'd go down an inch. He said, we busted through 200, and they never did catch it. They used to do stuff like it all the time. They can't get away with it anymore. Everything's
They
very
pushed it.
precise, very, very
Push the
tight.
envelope, trust me. I mean, why do you think when you have a guy that wins a race, tears it up? Because stuff happens to change during the race. You just
Got a
never
question
know.
back there?
Yep.
I wanted at least one more football question.
Yes, sir.
All football fields are exactly the same
Yes, sir.
everywhere. Stadiums, for the players, which ones do they like the best?
Man, there are
Because,
some.
like I say, there's football field,
Yeah,
football field,
football
then you
field
put all
same,
the
but
stuff around it.
Surface area, I mean, unless you got the synthetic, which I think most players like real grass. The synthetic just saves money for grounds crew and upkeep over a period of time, but you want a grass field, first of all. I mean, that's the best. Arizona, I would say, the Cardinals, they have an unbelievable facility, locker room area. I mean, they take that field out on the tray. It's actually, they have like a little, almost like an oven. The whole field comes out underneath and goes out in this big parking lot area. They can treat it outside. I mean, I would say Arizona is probably one of the better fields. Seattle is a good facility, even though it is synthetic, but just unbelievable facility. I played in some dumps, but probably the oldest stadium is probably the Chargers, but now they're getting probably a new stadium now with the and the Raiders probably the worst. but both of those teams are now moving, so they probably have. That's the reason why they're moving, because the city would not fund a new stadium. But those are probably two of the worst stadiums I've played in. Yeah. Yes, sir.
How you like playing with Fred Smoot? You said Fred Smoot.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's I think he's Jacksonville, Mississippi
Yeah,
State.
yeah, Mississippi State.
Yeah. He's a fun character. Like, we used to go watching him back in the day. So,
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
was he a clown?
Oh
Was he a guy?
man, it was never a dull day with
Yeah,
Fred Smoot.
Yeah, smooth as
I mean, the guy that kept it light when it was dog days,
Yeah.
where you didn't want to go out and do anything. You had to hear something from Fred Smoot that would just keep guys laughing, because he had that little quirky little voice, man, and it was just, yeah, one of the characters on the team. I really enjoyed playing with Smoot. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Do any other football players work for Joe? Or
No.
Joe gets racing? Is that,
Yeah.
so you're uncommon?
Well, I'm blessed, man, that's for sure. I know I'm fortunate. I don't take it for granted. You know, I know he probably could have hired many other players, I'm sure. But I think, again, you know, when you're tested in the midst of adversity, how you respond, I think that made an impression on him, you know. And again, what I wanted to do wouldn't have got me here, which is cuss him out. I wouldn't be here if I did what I wanted to do. But, you know, with my wife being there, I was able to think about it and kind of, you know, say the right thing. So in the midst of that situation, yeah. Thank God I didn't have any social media on me at that time, because a lot of kids get in trouble. I talk to kids about social media responsibility. I've seen kids lose scholarships because of the emotion of kids. They're able to put something right out there and put it on social media. You know, I coach high school football, and you know, we've had a couple of kids of ours get kicked off the team by posting. They were drinking beer and posted it. I'm like, what are you thinking, man? Are you kidding me? You know, and so this social media thing, it's a whole new deal, man, with our young people, man. It's just,
Adult players in the NFL
Yeah.
making mistakes like that.
well, not just the NFL, but just in general, right? I mean, adults, period. I mean, you got to be careful, man, when you're out and drinking. You just never know. That doggone
Once
camera.
it's on the internet, it's always there.
Yeah.
It ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I told John Fox and Ron Rivera the play that we used to play for Wayne Ponce, and an adaptation to the goal line stance. But when we were on defense for the very first play, as their knuckles hit the ground, we hit, and we hit them hard. And of course, it was a 5-yard penalty, which we accepted. And Coach wanted the game to be one of the trenches, so the next play they would jump, and now it's back to even, and they would jump again, and usually it was 1st and 20 by the time they actually made a successful
Right.
play. And I always wondered about that. Here we're Class D Catholic school, you know, we should have some character or whatever. And but on a goal line stance, when it's, you know, 1st and inches or whatever, you know, I told them to pull that play and hit them, because the next, it's a penalty, and now it's going to be 1st and
Yep.
a half inch or whatever.
Yep.
But I know you're disciplined in the pros, but you know, you still got characters that want to get even.
Yeah, I mean, and
And so they jump.
Yeah.
Now it's
Yeah.
you know, 1st and 5 yards and a half inch. You know, I mean,
Yeah, it's more mental, I would say, when you get to the pros. I mean, it's the mental game is probably more so than the physical, even though, because everybody's talented. So what kind of separates you from the rest? I think Belichick is the guy that probably prepares. I mean, his preparation is, it's just beyond other coaches. I mean, the mental part. I mean, he prepares. I mean, you can't tell me that the Atlanta Falcons, that's got to be the biggest choke. I mean, that was a mental letdown. That game. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, and I give credit to the New England Patriots, but the Falcons lost it more than the New England Patriots won it. The New England Patriots just waited for them to make a mistake, kept putting the pressure on them, you know what I mean, and play calling. I mean, come on, man.
I always say that I think they got scared. They felt like they had to put up more points instead of sitting on the points they had and running the ball.
Run the football.
Right.
You pass the ball.
But
I mean, yeah.
To me, it looked like they just lost their mind and said, "Oh, we got to score more points because it's a Patriots," and they jacked up by not sticking to the game plan.
Got away from the game plan.
Yeah.
I told my wife at night, when they were getting ready to go for that third and some yards, I told my wife, I said, if they don't get this third down, it's over. And that's when I think he tackled. And my wife looked at me, she said, how do you know that? At the end of the game, I just had that feeling. If they wouldn't have got that third, and they didn't.
Right.
And they lost the whole game behind that one play. I got knocked that out of hand.
Yep.
Over.
I think he was.
It's interesting the way how everything you said, how you've been tempered. It's like what you were talking about, the steel and freezing it down. You still remain flexible in the way you deal with things. When hardship comes your way, obviously that people notice that. And that's why you've come so far with that. But I actually had a couple of things I just wanted to ask you. One is that trip you're talking about. I'd love to make that happen.
Yep.
We could set up a date, and us
Absolutely.
to get everybody to go. That would be super fantastic. We
Love
would want
to
to do a field trip.
Absolutely.
One of the other things was I have to ask you because I've never played football serious. You mentioned that you fractured your ulna and the other bones, and you tackled the one quarterback and you hurt his back. And I'm wondering with the mindset when you're playing football. I mean, you're not really out there to literally kill the other guy, but when you do kill the other guy and you do cause an injury, break a bone,
Yeah.
there's bone sticking out, does that, do you wind up feeling really guilty about that, or is that just accepted that it's going to happen to you and that you're going to do that?
I think it all comes down to the heart, because there are guys that are out there trying to hurt the other guy. But for me, I think about the guy's family. I think about the livelihood. You know what I mean? I think, we're all brothers at the end of it. That's why you see guys pray no matter which team. But there are guys out there now, and he mentioned the Saints. And I got to bring this one up. Greg Williams was a guy that actually, now this stays here now. This stays here. What we talk about stays here. So Greg Williams actually coached us at the Redskins before he went to the Saints. He was our D coordinator. And he actually started the bounty gate then. I'm just glad they didn't do any extra investigation. I'll never forget the first night he brought it up. And he basically just said, hey, we're playing Seattle for a regular season game. And he said, do you know who the backup quarterback for Seattle is? Or do you know who backs up Sean Alexander, who had won a rushing title the year before? You know who his backup is? And we was like, okay, let's go. No, without even looking, just do you know? Kind of started the week for preparation. And I was like, nobody knew. And he was like, you're right, you don't know. Because he's not in there, the backup's not in there because he's not the best player. So guess what that means? If we take the best player out, we get the backup in. And I thought, at first I didn't know what he was talking about. I'm thinking like, well, what does he mean? Because I've never heard, you have a pot that you play and you kind of put the money in the pot and you get sacks and players put that in there, big hit of the day. But he was talking about taking guys out. And it got out of hand that year, man. And I didn't agree with it as a player, man. A lot of the older guys, but the young guys didn't know any better. But you got the coach who's kind of leading this thing. And it got to the point where at the end of the year, he's talking about taking coaches out. Like he didn't like certain coaches. And he would say, hey, take that guy's knee out. Take that defensive coordinator's knee out. You got $5,000 on the table. And he would bring cash, man. And for a young guy that probably wasn't making as much as an older guy, man, dudes were, I'll never forget, Sean Alexander got taken out of the game with concussion. And one of my teammates was like, I want to get Blanken paid. You know what I mean? I was like, this is not going in. And of course, we know what happened. They caught up with him. And I was watching the game against the Arizona Cardinals, the way they was giving it to Kurt Warner, I knew exactly what that was all about. And Greg, you know, he got a little arrogant, and we heard if you ever heard that audio that ESPN reporter went in the locker room, I mean, that was kind of Greg Williams' deal. Cut the snake's head and the body had died. That's his saying, and it caught up with him. You know, so it's a pressured sport. You know.
And I never
We've had coaches, I'm not going to mention names, but we've had coaches somehow get the playbook where they would know where the hotel was to the other teams where they would stand, and they will pay a guy, a hotel attendant. You get that guy $500 to get a playbook. That, for him, he ain't made that probably all week. I mean, so I never agreed with it, you know what I mean? But it happens. And coaches, it's pressure, man, to win, and they feel like if you don't get caught, it ain't cheap. Bill Belichick, no, I'm just playing.
Who are the Panthers going to take number 8?
Who are they going to do what?
Who are they going to take at number 8? If they throw
Yeah. I mean, they need some defense, man. I think, you know what I mean, to kind of short things up. I think for defense, I mean, defense wins championships.
Offense wasn't
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. No, it wasn't. Well, I think for Cam Newton, I think he realizes that he needs to, you know, I think with a lot of success comes a lot of responsibility. And I think last year he had a lot of success after that Super Bowl, and he started doing stuff that he wasn't doing to get to that point. I think this year is going to be a good year because he's going to be focused now. You know,
good to hear.
Yeah.
Did you get to play your video? Across the street. Did you get to play that video you wanted to show? Do we still? Did you show the video? Did you have a video that you wanted to show?
Oh,
Yeah, he played it already.
Oh,
He played
okay.
it first.
I was inviting the ladies over, so.
Oh, okay.
I missed it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were playing it before he got here.
Yeah, okay.
We can play it again if you want.
Yep.
So, how much traveling do you do with Game Plan for Life? Is this something that you take national?
Yeah, so we do the outreach breakfast events. We do about 10 of those a year, and that's in different parts of the country where a coach will share his story. We do them in ballrooms, hotel ballrooms. We do what we did actually 2 weeks ago at the Saints facility. Inside the Saints facility, the week before that, we actually did one with Adam LaRoche and Willie Robertson from Duck Dynasty at the Kansas City Chiefs facility. So, you know, Coach is kind of the guy where he says it's not about me again. He wants to serve. And I think the most genius thing he did was he didn't call it Joe Gibbs Ministry or Joe Gibbs. It's just Game Plan for Life. So other guys can now take that, which we had Tony Dungy do one with us. We got Darryl Strawberry that wants to do one. So you just call it Game Plan for Life with whoever the speaker may be. And so we do those all around the country. And I do travel quite a bit, you know, to do a pre-planning meeting in different cities. I was in Rapid City, South Dakota for 2 days, and in Tampa. I know, but I enjoyed it though. Rapid City is a beautiful place. Never been there, but yeah.
I think you said that you do some high school coaching.
Yes, sir.
Is that in Kannapolis?
Concord First Assembly. This is where I coach in Team Chapel. So I'm right over there. But I live in Kannapolis.
You attend there too? You go to church there too?
Yeah, I go to church here as well. Yeah.
Brother and sister-in-law go there.
Oh yeah? Okay, what's her name?
Rob and Leanne Stevenson.
Okay. All right. Look.
But y'all's pastor's fairly new, right?
Yeah, we got a
Couple
new
years
pastor.
or a year?
Yeah. Doug Wither is the pastor there. They're doing a great job. Yes, sir.
What are some ways that you guys do your fundraisers for your organization?
So yeah, that's been something that's been kind of new for us because before the prison ministry started, Coach used Joe Gibbs Racing to kind of help fund the outreach breakfast. So I'm kind of new at the fundraising part of it, you know, but we feel like, you know, it's just, you know, just trying to get out there and just let people know, you know, it's tough, man. You know,
Some of our fundraisers is the Panther Stadium, the concessions, and the parks. we just recently helped the Atlanta Braves, you know, they opened up a new baseball stadium.
Yeah.
We were there this weekend helping them. I took 8 people up there to volunteer. The Atlanta Braves sent a bus to get us, gave us a room, and paid us for the whole weekend.
Wow.
We did 2 games down there. I'm still wearing the stuff.
I see you got the, yeah. Man, that's pretty cool,
They got an
man.
awesome field down there.
Is it
nice.
pretty nice?
It's nice. It's nice. And that's how we, Mr. Dave can tell you, that's how we've been doing a lot of our fundraising. Cost donations from Mr. David and
Yeah.
these guys here, they have been awesome helping us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you want to share with you more
Yeah.
about how we.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, sir.
How long Game Plan for Life been?
2009. Yeah, because it came, Coach wrote the book in 2009, and it impacted so many, where churches use it for small groups, men's groups use it. It's a good study, you know, I mean, it's a great book. So he wanted to do something that was more than just a book. So he wanted to do something more in person and kind of share his story. So that's how Game Plan got started initially, and then from there was the school assemblies, and then the prison ministry stuff. Went from there. Yeah. Any other questions? Maybe we want to get some guys some signed autographs. Is that cool?
Yeah, first, give him a big round of applause.